Welcome to the Minawiyat podcast, your dose of dopamine during quarantine. Each week, we'll bring you news, reviews, and whatever you choose. I'm your host, Mina Labib, and this is our episode. Oh, hey everyone. Right off the bat, I'd like to apologize for any technical issues. Since we're quarantined, both my guest and I are recording this remotely. But, anyways, today our very special guest is gonna discuss their views on some of our favorite childhood movies and how they relate to our culture. And at the very end, we'll play a little game together. All that and not much more coming right up. So welcome everybody to the first episode of this very professional podcast. And I'll be honest with you guys, I tried to record this a few days ago and it was really awkward. But I thought what would make this even less awkward is doing it with a friend. Yeah, that's the right way to say it. Please welcome Nader Ghoniem.
Yeah, you thought wrong. This is definitely going to be so awkward. But yeah, hey, Mina, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on your morning show, Mina. Let's hope this goes well.
Yep, we're recording this at 9 p.m.
Well, yes, 9 p.m. I wish I would have had like some sort of catchphrase to say like for morning commuters who are going to work, sort of like LSM, but quarantine and well, it's not morning. Yeah.
Amazing.
A bit more creative.
Amazing. Again. So Nader.
Yes.
The way I usually start the show is that I
usually, like how many times have you started this? How many
times? More times than I care to share.
Okay.
How have you been doing recently? How have you been dealing with
pretty bad actually, now that you ask me, but
tell me more.
I guess you could just say like I'm surviving, I guess, my own mental anguish. Am I oversharing?
Oh, not at all.
Well, it's just like it's, to be honest, it's like, well, I mean, I guess it beats quarantine. Maybe I'll look back upon these days as though it were like some sort of adventure, but I really doubt it. Actually, I think it would just pretty like days that I would never wish to revisit.
Same, buddy. But hey, that's why we're doing this podcast. I mean, is John Krasinski really that much better than us?
Yeah, I'd say John Krasinski is much better than us, Mina.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, Nader, before we get into our main topic today, I feel compelled to address this. This podcast is called the Minawiyat podcast, which is famously a term that you coined. Care to share with the audience how on earth did that happen?
Well, Minawiyat, noun, I guess it means anything that is distinctly and exclusively Mina in all shapes and forms. I think, if I remember correctly, it originated whenever you'd have like a hot take on something أو تقولي حاجة that was mostly عادة بتطلع هبدة أو اجتهاد شخصي منك. I was like, I'd listen to you finish your sentence, I'm like, Mina, دي ميناويات مش كده. it's either you'd like admit it's like yes, or you'd like go further to defend your point.
Yes, but did we die? Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Speaking of Hebd, Nader, you've been talking to me recently about Star Wars, Indiana Jones, other blockbusters, and how they affect culture. So, tell me, when did you start getting interested in this topic, and how has it affected how you, uh, should I say it, consume that kind of media?
بص هو عامة ايه يعني يعني to understand where like why I do this دلوقتي أو why I've been considering this more often than not يعني I think it goes back 2 or 3 years ago when I fell down the rabbit hole of Middle Eastern studies يعني. يعني before that I personally يعني wouldn't look so critically يعني upon franchises like Indiana Jones, like Star Wars, both of which طبعا were produced by George Lucas. LucasArts يعني عامة. I guess I fell down the rabbit hole when I read Orientalism by Edward Said. Now this was like one big LSD trip. بالنسبة لي it was such an eye-opening experience. Combined that with other readings that I've done يعني بعد كده, particularly when it comes to Middle Eastern history يعني. يعني some would object of course to the term Middle East بس يعني I'm saying يعني within the broader context of things يعني that بتبقى نهاية الموضوع يعني إنه you can't help but look critically upon things like Star Wars بالذات classics. طبعا some examples are also existent في prequels. And Indiana Jones. Like why بقى does this come to mind? يعني طبعا of course you're asking طبعا you're asking the right question يعني طبعا of course here يعني the same critique could be applied to Hollywood as a whole يعني بس يعني I'm just talking about LucasArts في الحتة ديت يعني especially because لما كنت بنزل اجازات in the past 3-4 months كنت بحب كده اخد بريك ان انا ايه اتفرج على ستار وورز, اتفرج على انديانا جونز كده. And the concepts that I've come across throughout my readings في اخر سنتين ثلاثة just like stare me in the eye كده قدامي in very normal scenes وحاجات that just pass by. Let me tell you مثلا why this is important يعني. في كتاب Orientalism by Edward Said كان في حتة بيقولها يعني there's a profound difference between the will to understand the purposes of coexistence and humanistic enlargement يعني طبعا and the will to dominate for the purpose of control and external dominion يعني the whole argument of Orientalism centers or pivots يعني around the fact إنه how the West perceives the East as يعني a big one big framework of a lot of stereotypes and misconception اللي آخرتها في الآخر بتjustify violence or exploitation or colonial rule. In a sense, it just denigrates and dehumanizes the people يعني who live there. You could see يعني in the build-up مثلا to something like the Iraq War and 9/11, there wasn't much nuance from the American public and Europe عامة, because the perception of the people who live there is in هو يعني why not just like bomb them all? They're not like us يعني you wouldn't get the same reaction if the terrorists مثلا were French or something like that يعني Western white كده يعني. فback to Star Wars يعني يعني أنا كنت مثلا بتفرج
let me give a fresh example. عامة بالنسبة لي كان في إنديانا جونز عشان كنت لسه بتفرج عليه من أسبوعين 3 كده. Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you see وبرضو Temple of Doom. يعني if you see the way Indiana Jones interacts with locals, يعني for يعني an archaeologist who's supposed to be يعني pretty down with the locals, يعني يبقى عارفهم أكتر من أي حد. The movie displays very little nuance. يعني مش عارف يعني take مثلا for Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Egyptians are practically voiceless in a sense, and even the only Egyptian character who speaks in the movie to give some sort of voice is played by a British actor, I believe, يعني, who just put on Arab face, عارف اللي هو like a tan, a small beard, and a fez, and he's suddenly a very convincing Arab actor with all طبعا the stereotypes that come with it. يعني. Egyptians were showed as like being in a sense like controlled by Nazis, يعني they're just there as slave labor for the most part. Practically they're just there to do the bidding of whatever people just tell them to do. They're voiceless. They're like من الآخر يعني showed as NPCs, يعني non-playable characters. Oh, the whole thing just centers around the white actors running around the voiceless hordes. Yeah. طبعا they're always shown as backward, and you see this بالذات في Temple of Doom with the Indians. حتى the rich Indians يعني اللي في الفيلم shown to eat the most disgusting things, like, oh, look at them, they're eating chilled monkey brains and beetles and حاجات كده اللي هو they're just showing a vile picture for the average viewer مثلا in the United States or in Europe. They look at the far mystic Eastern cultures as like they're not like us, they're less than us. They need us, they need our help. They either by it promotes exploitation from وجهة نظر like they need our help. Oh, it just justifies war. اللي هو كده كده they're incapable of ruling themselves. Like مثلا Jared Kushner كان لسه بيقول a few months ago about Palestinians. They haven't demonstrated the ability to rule themselves. A classic colonial trope.
Well, that's depressing. I mean,
yeah, بالظبط زي ما انت قلت يعني it can be a bit depressing. It sort of يعني shits on all the fun and how you'd like watch these timeless franchises, which are pretty good by the way, بس without unseeing مش عارف بقى the inherent dehumanization اللي فيها to people from quote unquote Eastern cultures. يعني طبعا it's always displayed with a lot of يعني with a lot of mysticism and it's always like they're perceived as the other, but not in a good way. Rarely
Yani, I feel like we're being a little bit too hard on Uncle George here. Yani, I think the problem is a little bit more widespread than that.
بالظبط زي ما انت بتقول يعني this critique can be applied to Hollywood as a whole. واللي هو this is pretty dangerous because يعني this shapes collective conscious. This shapes political and public opinion. Like there are bodies of academic work that are made around how مثلا the perception of the East in literature or in movies, but movies are always more apparent to people يعني especially in the late 20th century and 21st century. It shapes the conscious of and decisions مثلا of whether to go to war or whether to exploit particular countries. Even when you look at things like financial aid وحاجات زي كده, it changes بتخلي فيه like an unfair power dynamic to people living in such countries يعني. Yeah, يعني who would have thought يعني like we were just talking about Star Wars and like look where it got us. Yeah.
طب هو يعني I think you mentioned Star Wars بس ما اديتش example قوي like example واضح فيها care to clarify.
Oh yeah, I can think of more يعني examples يعني that show how this plays into scenes في Star Wars مثلا. Look at episode 4 of A New Hope. When they're being attacked by quote unquote the sand people on this barren mysterious planet. طبعا يعني they have a lot of guttural sounds هما بيتكلموا to show how violent they are and dressed a lot like in garbs كده واللي هو يعني unmistakably يعني obviously derived يعني from a mystic Eastern perception يعني of Arabs living there يعني. يعني فده مثلا تحس انها حاجة that is derived from such thinking و at the same time projects such ideas يعني. So yeah, يعني I guess that sort of like explains how some books I've read are ruining my experience when it comes to enjoying the film franchise that I love the most. Yeah, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
This episode of Minawiyat is brought to you by La Casetta. La Casetta is the only pizza that's 80% cheese. I personally prefer a Maradona-sized salumi pizza every time. Use the promo code MINAWIYAT on your next order to get nothing but confused looks. That's promo code MINAWIYAT. Thank you, La Casetta, for sponsoring this episode. And now, on with the show. Okay, welcome to Game Changer, the only game that changes every game. So, Nader.
Hold on. Redo this. You sounded like عرفت اللي هو British Council tests. Here is the test. No. You gotta do it with more vigor, more passion.
And now, it's time for a Game Changer. The only game where the game changes every episode.
Why do you gotta say it like that?
Nathan, the audience demands to be entertained, okay?
All right.
Anyways, so the first game that we will play. Okay, fine. It's actually the only game that we'll play, but yani, the first version of this new show segment thing. I know what I'm doing here. It's basically two truths, one lie. Okay, we have each gathered 3 completely random and pretty weird facts, and each one should. We'll take turns and try and figure out which one is the lie. Who has been fibbing? Are you ready, Nader?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Should I start or should you start?
Go ahead.
My 3 facts are: number 1, Canadians wanted to rename the Northwest Territories to Justin. Fact number 2.
Justin.
Fact number 2. The remains of the inventor of the Pringles can are in a Pringles can. Fact number 3, hippos have pink milk.
Okay, for some reason, I feel that Justin is something Canada would totally do. I'm not.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna say one is a
Okay.
the, the Pringles can thing. I believe that somehow like the pink milk sounds the most unbelievable. That's my guess.
Okay, so your final guess is that the remains of the inventor of the Pringles can are not in a Pringles can.
Huh. How odd.
La la la. It's true.
It's true?
Oh.
Okay, because I was gonna say that was a perfect opportunity missed.
Oh, la la la. Apparently his name is Frederick Bauer. اسمه ايه? And when he passed away in 2008, his children honored his wishes to be laid to rest in one of his cans. So yeah.
That's just, it does sound like a perfect opportunity. Again.
Yeah, بالظبط. The lie is that Canadians wanted to name the Northwest Territories Bob.
Oh, okay.
Not
but, well, well, it wasn't too far off then. I mean,
not at all.
Okay,
Oh,
so I guess yeah, my turn.
yes, your turn only.
Okay, fact number 1. The movie Jurassic Park, released in 1993, grossed almost $1 billion in the box office. Fact number 2. Well, shit, I can't remember. Jimmy Savini got a house ticket. I hate being on the spot, man.
We should have like out of the technical difficulties music, just Well, I guess I will entertain the audience.
Stable genius
Another
Donald Trump.
Evil genius Donald Trump?
I share the same birthday with stable genius Donald Trump.
No.
Fact number 3. Fact number 3. Moving swiftly on. The last soldier to surrender in World War II surrendered in 1950.
1950.
Yes.
I think I've heard that one before. That one I think I'm okay saying that it's true. Jurassic Park grossing $1 billion? $1 billion. Wow. God, it might be. I mean, adjusted for inflation ولا ايه؟
Don't Google it.
لا بس adjusted for inflation ولا لا؟ Because I don't think it would have made $1 billion وقتها. You know what? I'm gonna say
at the time.
I'm gonna say it's the Jurassic Park one because part of me wants to believe in two very, very stable geniuses مولودين في نفس اليوم.
Okay, so خلاص كده you've said final decision.
Final decision. The Jurassic Park one is the lie.
Okay, drum rolls.
Sure.
Whatever that was. Well, the Jurassic Park one is actually a fact. It's true. It did grow 1.032 billion
wow,
in the
okay.
box office. Donald Trump and I do share the same birthday.
Fuck. Oh.
Yes.
Oh shit. Oh, that sucks.
Geminis.
I was
Donald Trump
confident
is
that the Japanese soldier.
But actually, the Japanese soldier one is not correct.
It's even later, صح?
He surrendered in 1974.
Oof.
Yes, like that is a big oof, considering that like the war was done in 1945.
Nice. هو ايه اللي حصل له؟ Why was he stranded في حتة ولا؟
No, he just held on to his post in the Philippines, I believe. He refused to believe any of the pamphlets that were dropped down on him in his sector, that the war was over. He thought it was propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he just like held on,
Nice.
just like that. Yeah, like when they found him, he was like in his uniform and everything.
حرام.
Yeah, it's
حرام بجد. He spent like almost a third of his life for nothing. Just he wasted يعني.
The guy, like they gave him a full ceremony when he was back. Like he met the emperor and like I think he surrendered his katana to him as a formal gesture of like he completed his service. That is, it's a pretty cool story. I think there's a book written about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I won't check it out because, I mean, not even القعدة اللي احنا قعدنا في. But I'll be sure to see them. I'll be sure to see the mini series لما Netflix تعملها.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm surprised it's something Netflix hasn't done yet.
لا يعني it's about time هيعملوها ما تقلقش.
Yeah, it is more than about time. Yeah.
Well, Nader, well, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank the audience for joining me on this inaugural episode of the Mina Wiyad podcast. Nader, where can the good people find you?
Well, you can find me on my Twitter page. It's my handle is it's real Ghoniem, I guess, but like there's really nothing interesting worth following there.
بجد there should be يعني a drinking game على كل البودكاست clichés اللي بنعديها النهارده دي.
Yeah, listening.
استنى بس الحته الجايه دي it's like if this was a drinking game you're about to get wasted. You can find me on Twitter at minalabib4. That's MINALABIB4. Or use the hashtag MinaWiyad to tell me what you think of the show or any topics that you want us to cover.
That's just
it.
That's just pushing it too far.
Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or Spotify so you never miss any episode.